Once you have your colors planned, you're now ready to transfer your image to your block. First thing you want to do is trace your drawing. I've already traced mine because I used it as my key image, but I'm going back to add my border around the outside edge so that I can line it up with my block. Now I can put my drawing to the side and grab my block and get ready to transfer it. I'm going to flip the block around so that the pins are at the top and they won't be in my way when I'm cutting on the rest of the block. You're going to use graphite paper, which has a dark side and a light side. The dark side is what goes against the block. So line it up and just flip it over. And I'm using Scotch tape because I don't have any masking tape, but if you have masking tape, it probably works better. So just fold it up over the block on 3 sides, and it's just a matter of not having it move around, so it shouldn't take too much tape. And then once you've got the graphite paper on, you want to take your tracing paper and you're going to flip it over so it's backwards. This is important because you want your block to have your image backwards so that when you print it, it comes out correctly, the right way, because everything we print is reversed. So just flip that over, line it up carefully, and again, just tape it to the back so that when you're tracing it, it doesn't move around. Just a few pieces of tape are sufficient to ensure that it's secure. And now you're ready to trace it, and you're going to use a ballpoint pen to do the tracing. As I'm tracing, I'm going around the contour of all the objects, but I'm also going around value shapes so that I have information that I'll need for separating out colors and making sure I cut the areas out that I need. And I'm also making sure that I have all the details and information that I'll need for my key image at the end, which will be the last thing that will be on my block. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. So now I have everything traced, and I'm going to take it apart, being careful not to rip the tracing paper or the graphite paper. The graphite paper is usable again, so I can put it aside. The tracing paper I might want to use as a reference, but I don't really need it at this point. And when I take my block away, I can see that the drawing is very faint. And so the next step will be to trace over it with a Sharpie marker. The Sharpie marker will be permanent, and when you do proofing or when you print from the block and wipe it with a sponge to clean the ink off of it, you won't lose your image. So it's always going to be there in between each color. Okay, so now I have everything traced with my permanent marker. And the thing I have to keep in mind is that everything is now reversed. So the light areas are on the dark side, and the dark areas are on the light side. So when I'm planning my cutting, I want to remind myself when I'm looking at my drawing that it is the opposite. But now I'm ready to go ahead and start cutting my first layer. Just to review, the things that you're going to need are your wood block with the registration pins that are already attached to your block. I'll talk to you more about this when we start printing. The other thing you'll need is your finished drawing with your color plan figured out. You'll need your graphite paper, which looks like tracing paper, but it has a dark side and a light side. You'll put the dark side next to your block when you're tracing. You'll also need your tracing paper, and the first thing you'll do before transferring is you'll trace your drawing onto the tracing paper.